start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Teresa, please take the roll.
Okay, Mayor Jones.
Here.
Horn.
Yes.
Bowen.
Yep.
Behrens.
Yes.
Mattson.
Yes.
Jass.
Yes.
And Keel is absent with notice.
All right. Do we have any additions or approval of tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, we'll vote. Jazz?
Yes.
Behrens?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right, how about the minutes from the 7/2/2024 meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Behrens?
Yes.
Jazz?
Yes.
All right, bills for payment are in your packet. Any action on that?
Make a motion to approve bills as presented?
Second.
Any discussion? I don't think I see anything that.
I was curious on the printers, so we rent the printers out? Just out of curiosity, what's the advantage of doing that versus owning them?
So we did an analysis of like owning it, the cost of that, and then how much ink we were going through and paper, whatnot. And we did a price comparison, and it actually came out cheaper to rent, because with our leasing, you know, we don't pay for any of the ink, then
Okay.
that's all figured in that. Any repairs or whatnot, we don't pay for any of that, that's all covered under that lease agreement.
Makes sense.
Yep, we did that about 3 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
All right, any other discussion? If not, we'll vote. Jazz?
Yes.
Behrens? Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right. Any comments from the city on any items not in the agenda?
I would just publicly thank ISG and Rice Lake for showing us around today. That was fantastic. So.
Yeah, that was really, you guys didn't know we got our first kind of official tour of the wastewater treatment facility this afternoon or this evening. It's pretty impressive. It doesn't take long to realize why we've written $10 or $11 million worth of checks when you see that much concrete poured in the hole. 7:03. Okay, we gotta wait till 7:05 for our first hearing, correct? Oh, never mind. Leah, you're up next. Sorry about that.
No problem. All right, just a quick update on Jamboree Days for 2024. First was Little Miss Hartford. We had 8 girls this year that participated. Willow Jaspers was actually the one that officially won, and she made a comment to us that she had a blast being on the radio, being in the parade, and handing out her trophies. For the movie night, we played Cars 3. We actually had a little bit higher attendance than last year, right around that 75 to 100 people. And a lot of them stayed until the end, which we don't typically see that. So I don't know if it was a kind of movie or it was the people, or the weather. So it was all good. The car show was amazing. Our weather turned out to be almost perfect for the night. We had 138 registered vehicles, which is the highest ever registered. And then we had 12 that were non-registered, or they were registered but registered as no votes. And then we had several that came in after that. Probably between the figured people coming in was about 10 to 15 that didn't even register. So we were well over 150 cars this year. So that again was about 50 more than last year. So we had about 100 last year. The burnout as well, we had more registered. We had 20 and huge, great crowd participation this year. For Friday night entertainment, we had Men in Black perform, who they did a really good job. Our vendors numbers were about the same as they were last year, even despite the outlook of rain for Saturday. We probably would have had a few more in the park, however, a few backed out at the end. So we did have a few that didn't show, but it was looking to be a washout on Saturday, and it wasn't. The 5K, we did actually have 8 runners who decided to partake, but it was running throughout the majority of it, so they did get a little wet, so it was 8 more than what Mark O'Hare thought he was gonna have, so that was good. Parade entries, we had 51, last year we had 44, so again, good turnout, especially since it was a little bit drizzly rainy at the beginning. For our stage entertainment this year, we had the West Central Choir back, who they performed what they practiced in their little choir camp. We also did our American flag disposal. The West Central Jazz Band was back again this year. They didn't have anything booked going overseas like they did last year. Phil Bakers was back. He always has a good time with the kids. And then we had Totally Rad Band who played for a few hours in the afternoon. For our park entertainment, we had Mr. Twister back and Color Bee face painting. Both had lines all the way from 12 till 4. And they actually had to put a stopper person in because they were busy nonstop. Inflatables were busy as well with the kids. It's always a hit to go in and play with that. Our baby crawl, unfortunately, though, did get canceled this year because of the rain. So it was too wet to do that. But our Dakota Kids pedal pull, he actually had a number registered as well that was higher than he's ever had in Hartford, including at least 2 people in every age group that he does, which we've always had an extra 1 or 2 trophies that didn't have any in an age group. So he had that. Community supper, we chose not to do that again, or this year for the first time. The cost for what we were paying for what they were getting was not feasible. So we did work though with the Color Guard because they are doing a fundraiser for the uniforms and flags and that. And I spoke with somebody with the Color Guard this year, and they actually raised more money this year by a few hundred than he did than they have in the past. So we'll work with them again next year if it's something they want to continue. For our Saturday night concert, we had Brandon Jones playing in the amphitheater. He always says he has a great time in Hartford, got quite a few people. For beer sales, our tips were up. We had roughly just over 1,600 in tips. Sales was right around 7,000, which was down a little, but Saturday, again, was not the warmest, so that tends to play into beer sales when it's not too warm. And our beer cost as well was down by a few hundred, but our profit, we were only like about 200 or 300 different from last year. And then community worship, we also had quite a few turnout. We figured off of a quick head count, I'm thinking about right 100 people that showed up on Sunday morning for the worship. And then for our sponsor numbers, we have lost a couple sponsors just because the businesses have gone out of business, but we also gained quite a few. We had 9 gold, 17 silver, and 3 bronze. So we have some others that have showed interest as well for next year. And then we did our board elections for 2025. Unfortunately, you guys are stuck with me again for another year. And then vice president, again, is Rob Dobbs. Treasurer will remain as Rachel Clausen, and our secretary will remain as Kyle Robb. Questions, comments?
We've had a little discussion that maybe one of us or a couple of us might come into one of your meetings and just talking about how, how things are going, or we had, things that we see or things that we hear from the
Yep.
citizens. So when you got an upcoming meeting or two, just.
We start in October,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
give the committee some time
Yeah.
off. I don't normally take much time off because I have to be here and we have to come to budget.
Yeah.
And then I have to start.
Just let us know, or let Craig know, he can always let us know.
We're typically
and
the second Monday
Yeah,
of the
and we'll
month.
probably make arrangements that a couple of us will.
We'd
Just
love to have,
come, yep,
I'm
Some of
throwing
the-
that off to a couple.
Some of these groups pre-booked for next year?
Some of them have, some of them have just showed interest. We don't technically start booking a lot until we start gathering. Our band for Saturday night is already booked. They've been booked over a year, and we'll start actually looking for a band for next year, or for 2026. Because those bigger bands book out very quick.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of numbers for Phil Baker?
Yes, he always has a group of
Seems like
kids.
he's just, he was around when my kids were kids.
Yes,
And
And
is there
believe it or not,
anyone,
he still gets up and dances with them.
More
And I'm
consistent?
surprised at the amount of people that follow him.
I
I bet he
know,
had probably 50 kids in the park doing the training. Along with a couple parents.
I know on the, my kids love the balloon and face painting. You're right, it was, and we did that last year as well. And it's like, I waited 30 minutes in line to get my kids' face painted. And then we got down to the balloon line. Now that was, it was like right before they closed, you know, where they, I know where they put out the sign.
Yep.
I would be curious on that because I've seen it 2 years in a row, like where those lines are just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I look at that, I'm just curious if there's ever been talk about bringing in 2 vendors for each, because I think that they can handle it.
Find them, we'd love to.
If you can, that's the hard part, is finding people that
Yes.
are doing that. I know down at the chamber, I think it was last year when they did an event. There was an event last year, Amy, you might be able to help me out, but I thought the kids could go inside. I mean, I know you have volunteers that do face painting, but I thought last year there was a vendor at the chamber party who, they had like the school bus, but maybe they did like the drawing or.
No,
Like the
for face
magical-
painting last year is actually my daughter, and she sat out in front of the library.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I don't think anyone went inside necessarily
The
for
bus
face
Yeah.
deal
painting.
is the art bus, right?
Yeah, that was the art
Yeah, that was the
bus.
art bus.
At
Which-
sometime Christmas, they have some more.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
You go in there.
That would be just like, cause like I've waited in those lines and I'm telling you guys, it's 30 minutes, which it's good, but it's also like, okay,
Yeah.
wait 30 minutes and then I would love to, challenge someone, just see if there's other vendors out there, cause it's a need and the kids love it.
Yep.
And then I know, and I had this question last year, and I've got 3 kids at home, so I don't go to the late night band thing. I'm kind of out of that scene right now in my life. And I know, that's a big cost. That's like, I think it's $10,000 for the band, right? Is it?
Budgeted. The bands normally run between 4,500 and 6,500, depending on where they're coming from,
Yeah.
and what their accommodations are in their contract.
So how many, because I know there's about 100 people at the worship, quite a few people at the burnout, which that's a huge attraction for the town. What were the numbers like for the concert that night? Do we have a count or a rough idea? Was it 100? Was it 200? Was it 300?
There was at least a couple hundred. Again, it was kind of cooler that year
Yeah.
as well, so I mean, it's hard to gauge that, and last year it was raining. So I would hate to compare it to last year's,
Right.
but I would say you have about probably 200 to 300, hard to count when it's dark,
Right,
but you have quite a few that come out.
okay.
Right. Anything else? But let's do that, we'll try to see if we can get that set up, we'd like to do that. And I think Sean stands in line because he wants to get his face painted, I think.
Hey man, if I didn't have to wait 30 minutes, if I could wait 10 minutes, I would. After 30 minutes, I'm like, let's get the heck out of here.
All right,
The only
thanks,
thing I
Lee.
can hope for next year is not to break a number on Friday.
Yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah, no, that wasn't fun. All right, guys,
All
thanks.
right, thank you. All right, we're gonna, excuse me, move down to applications, agreements, hearings, resolutions, ordinances. The 7:05 public hearing is on 2 different zoning amendments. First one is first reading of ordinance 753, which adds some zoning regulations for shouses. I had one question on this before we go to motions. It says something about height, but do we have a max height?
So the houses will have to follow our current height regulations. Houses have to follow our current lot regulations. So it's gotta be a minimum width for a lot, so just like a regular house.
Right.
And it's gotta have the regular setbacks, just like a regular house. And the height, it's gotta follow the same, so none of those regulations change for houses. So it's like a house. Basically, the biggest difference, everyone knows a house is usually you have a larger footprint for a garage or storage area than you do for the living quarters.
Right.
And this regulation, it's been talked about at P&Z, we've gone through the last 2 or 3 months, we've been talking and fine tuning it. But basically, it still has to follow all those same regulations of a single residential
Right.
house. But it'll add these extra regulations on it, which just has a little more honed in of, things that they would have to follow as houses.
Right.
As far as requirements for lot area, is is that based on the footprint of the house, or what is that currently based on?
Our zoning regulations.
Yeah, but what is it? Like, can I build, if I have a 0.3 acre lot, can I build a
50% of your lot.
0.285 acre
50% of your
house?
lot.
What?
50% of your lot. You can have a
So,
building
yeah,
on, yeah, a principal building on. So-
Because that accommodates all the setbacks.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the, I guess, are we in comment, right? We can
Yeah,
comments?
well, we haven't had a motion or anything, but I
Okay,
just,
so I'm really curious on the why, and I'm so, I've never seen a tiny home development.
oh,
Okay?
let's talk about that one next. Let's
Oh,
just
we're
do,
not- oh, we're
let's
just
do
on
the,
house.
let's do the Shal's one first,
Yeah,
and
they're-
then
they're
we'll
gonna
talk
be two
about the
separate
tiny
ordinances.
homes.
Two ordinances.
Oh, there's two ordinances.
Yeah, there's two separate.
Gotcha, okay.
So if there's anything else, I'd entertain any motions on the first one on 753 on the
Make a
Shal's.
motion to approve ordinance number 753 on Shells.
Second.
All right, we got 2 seconds, so that makes it a fourth. Okay. Any other discussion on that one? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Jazz?
Yes.
Barron? Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll go to the next one, which is tiny homes. That is ordinance 754, again, first reading for zoning regulations on tiny homes.
This is a little different than the Shouses. Both of them gotta follow our residential regulations. Both will be conditional uses, so they gotta come to the board. The difference with the tiny homes is the planning and zoning board wanted them to be put in as a pocket neighborhood, like as a development. So you don't have a tiny house in the middle of a town, and on this lot, a tiny house, one in a lot down south. They wanted it to be basically a development with tiny homes. So that's how it's put into the ordinance, that it still fall under residential, but as a conditional use, but as a pocket neighborhood. And so there's a few more different regulations, and since they're tiny homes, you can have, and it says in the regulations, I'm sure you read, but it can have smaller lots, smaller setbacks. We did go with, to consider it a development, you have to have a minimum of 4, but there's no maximum. They do have to have common area, so they have to set up an HOA or a common area for the development, kind of like, Boutrout, when they put in the apartments there, they had to have that common building with, a common playground or whatnot. That is what's gonna be required of this. This would all, proposed development would come to the planning and zoning board, and they would review, their plans and either approve or not approve it, so.
Do we make residential developments have a common area, like typical single-family homes, do they have, I'm just
No.
curious on, and maybe you probably
No,
said.
because they're not sharing that with anyone, it's usually just one owner, one lot for, if it's like, multiple buildings, like
Yeah.
apartment buildings there, or like, think of Maple Pass that just went up. They have, a shared common area with their playground area, whatnot.
Some of them have a-
It's usually more of a multi-dwelling that
Right.
we look at.
Okay.
And those all have to have a conditional use as well, just like this would have to have.
And that's pretty typical in these tiny home developments, wherever they might be located, to have a
Yeah.
common area.
Actually, Sioux Falls has just put in their first tiny home development,
VA
it's for
one, right?
veterans, it's
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of town, kind of off of Western, I believe it is,
Right.
kind of in that area there. That's their first tiny home development, and they have a common building, a common area, playground, whatnot, and I think they have I think they only got probably 4 or 5 built right now, and I think the plan calls for like 25 or 26. I kind of researched it when we were looking
Yeah.
at these regulations. So.
I mean, if you have an area and a developer can find an area, I think it's a really nice housing addition
Yeah.
Right.
to the city.
These
If we
are
can-
good.
If we can make it happen, if you can find that right spot where it fits.
And like I said, this came about, both of these, with my managers group, that, both of these are kind of getting to be a little bit more common practice. People are doing these more and more, so we wanted to be proactive and have some actual regulations on the book that specifically, address them both, rather than just have them meet the regular standards, which they might fit in, might not fit in.
Well, and then we are not under the gun when somebody comes and ready to go.
Right, trying to
We have
update
the-
ordinances.
We have the
And then they would have to put in sidewalks in that development too, because this
Oh,
would
yeah.
tie into
Oh, yeah,
our
that's
other-
still, that's a
I'm just
design
looking to
standard.
make sure to cross my T's and dot my
Yeah.
I's.
Yes,
That's still a
there'll be
design standard,
sidewalks.
that's
Come
nothing, so they'll
on.
have to have all of that, so, yeah.
Okay.
All
None
right,
of those requirements are waived. So,
all right, action on the first reading on this one.
I'll make a motion to, approve the first reading of ordinance 754.
Second.
All right. We got two sets?
I think we have three just about
We
there.
have three. Bob got a
Ryan
six
got
there.
me.
That's,
Yes.
yeah.
Bob got a six there. All right, any other discussion? If not, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Barons?
Yes.
Jazz?
We
Where's the
just-
teleprompter when I need it, right? All right, the last one under ordinances, we have second reading of our amendment to ordinance 752, which is our fireworks ordinance. We discovered that there was a date wrong, and we're getting that corrected.
Motion to approve, second reading of ordinance number 752.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Jazz?
Yes.
Barons?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right, next up, we're going to reports. First up, Chief Brian Shoemaker is here for his quarterly showing. How are you?
Good. Welcome, Mayor, Councilor. Mayor, quick question. Tiny housing development, does that have tiny sidewalks in it also?
Yes. Yeah, they're just a little narrower than 4 feet. Thank you, that's a good one.
Kind of a recap from June. June we had 36 calls, fairly busy month for them. 22 of them were in the city, so fairly busy in the city for the last month, a little higher than the average percentage. 4th of July went fairly well overall. Only had one structure fire out by Wall Lake in that run, but otherwise everybody had a pretty safe 4th of July. Training, EMS, last night we did training over hemorrhage control, fluid resuscitation, and patient triage. Next week we have training over pump and aerial operations on our trucks. And then about a week and a half ago we did joint training on a rapid deployment craft, and what that is, that's essentially an inflatable raft, two sides kind of open in the middle, used for static water or swift water rescue. So we store it all collapsed and blow it up quick with an air tank. So we did some training on how to inflate it and how to deflate it. Unfortunately, we did have to dig it out in June and have it ready to go. And then we also did some training on our SCBA airfill station and how to operate that for all the members. Last week, we also tested over 5,000 feet of hose in the department, and what that amounts to is we're taking it up to a rated max pressure on the hose for 5 minutes, checking for any leaks on the hose, checking for any slippage in the couplings. It's really a safety factor for us. We don't want a hose blowing apart when we'd have people in an interior operation and they all of a sudden don't have water, or blow apart and somebody get hit on it. We ended up, out of all that 5,000 feet, we had about 650 feet of it fail. So, but it was mostly older hose as it gets through its life cycle. So, added one new member to the department this last month, Tyrone Ruby. So should be a good addition starting out, and another new applicant starting through the pipeline also. So with that, I'll open the floor to questions.
How are we doing on the new truck?
Well, it's, last I've heard, it sounds like the chassis should be complete sometime September. The truck as a whole, very early 2025 completion.
Okay. And remind me again, who's the supplier on that?
Rosenbauer.
Rosenbauer, okay. I couldn't remember. And that's this, what do they call it? What's that cab?
It's a custom cab.
Custom cab, yeah.
Have you guys ever, I know Sioux Falls has a training facility over there now, have they ever, do they just strictly do Sioux Falls there, or is it kind of been some talk about that? Or?
When it was initially developed, it was talked like it was gonna be open to the county.
Okay.
still hoping for that. They're going through some legal side of things. They're finding some hiccups with Sioux Falls PD because they're training out there also and store some things out there. So they're trying to figure out clearances, access. But hopefully as time goes on, yes, we will have access to that. In the meantime, you know, we continue to do joint trainings with Sioux Falls, other departments in the area, as opportunities arise.
Cool.
Our house fire, even though it wasn't a training, we had Humboldt, Crooks, 2 stations out of Sioux Falls, T, Chancellor, and Emergency Management all involved in that call. So, you know, it's more of a regional response anymore, that we have the mutual aid agreement set up, not just in the county, but in the region here, and work and train together.
How do you decide who has command?
It's usually the senior person on the scene, which, depending on the call and who's there or the severity of the call, there's some calls, if you're a minor call, we're gonna try and grow and develop people, and you might have somebody standing by their shoulder, and on a house fire, it ended up being me, so.
All right, any other questions for the chief?
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
All right,
Have a good night.
next up, Amy Farr, Economic Development Director's report.
Thank you, and thank you all for those that attended the North Oaks Industrial Park groundbreaking last week. We had really good turnout. We were on 2 or 3 different stations for news, so that was great. Mayor Jones was also on the Bill Zortman show prior, and then I followed up on Monday, yesterday, with some more questions about it and some opportunity to showcase Hartford a little bit further alongside Tyler Tortzen with SMGA. Most of my information is in the packet. Tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, I will be at a MADC conference, which is Mid-American Economic Development Corporation Conference. So be learning with a lot of people, and again, thank you to ISG for allowing me the opportunity to participate, since you were my sponsor for the event. Real quick, late last week we did receive an RFI. It's called Project Sunny. It employs approximately up to 150 people. The starting wage for that site manager is $80,000 to $150,000. Starting for part-time, full-time is $40,000 to $60,000. The project description falls in the NAICS 518210 category. Capital investment is $50 million, I believe. Also, it offers some community information. They want to know local incentives. So, you know, with Hartford, we have our tax abatement. We have the sales tax rebate, and then we've done 1 TIF in the community thus far. Additional notes to detail the water. They would like to have 600,000 gallons per day. So first I emailed it out to the HADF board for their comments, and then I visited with Craig, Mayor Jones, as well as Teresa, and we will be submitting for it just to see where we can go with it. But it does have a little taxing on the infrastructure. Other than that, do you have questions? It's a lot of information.
You said 581210 for the NA?
518210.
Okay. Or a couple questions, and I was just, so with the intern, that's compensated by Mid-America,
Mid-American Energy
So
with
last year, but this year they only approved like 3,000 for last year, right?
4,000 last year, 3,000 this year. Typically, it's always been 3,000.
Oh, I
The
thought it
reason
was 10 for some reason.
Nope, and the reason
Oh,
it was
okay.
4 last year was because we had to buy a new computer, and that extra 1,000 offset the
Okay.
computer and the software.
And it's not city money, I was just.
Nope,
I
HADF.
I always thought it was 10, but,
Nope.
okay.
Good question.
All right, any other questions for Amy?
Good job on getting the word out there with the groundbreaking.
You haven't seen Jody Schwan did a really nice, she interviewed me also. If you get a chance, that was really
Yep, and then Sioux Valley is also sponsoring a story regarding Hartford.
yes.
So, getting some really good press, and again, you know, thank you to everyone that attended. The Lieutenant Governor did a phenomenal job. Arden did a really nice push with the Hartford t-shirts. He requested that he
Yeah.
take it back to Governor Nome and tell her to wear it on her next Fox episode.
Yeah, next time she's
So-
on Fox News, they said, have your Hartford t-shirt on. And they both looked at me like I had 3 heads. That's probably not gonna happen.
But good try. It's a try. It's an
You
offer.
miss all the shots you don't take, right?
Exactly.
That's right.
Hey, if you don't ask, you never get it.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, all right. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Was that project brought through the GOED?
Yes.
Okay.
Next up, Chamber Director Lynn Hinn. She's got a busy week.
Busy day tomorrow, and cordially inviting you to come down to the Hartford Block Party, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. I will be announcing the city councilors, and the mayor will be talking for a moment.
For a moment.
Wow.
My report is in your packet, but I wanted to update, I did send out a push notification on the app for all app users, which I just learned how to do that, so that was kind of exciting. That will go out should go out tonight at 5. So if you have the app, maybe you have a push notification. I also did my first member spotlight for Dave and Company, because I only had 3 businesses respond, so I'll be reaching out to other businesses for that. So that is all I have. Think about tonight, or tomorrow night, 9.
So this may be not the appropriate time, but I'm gonna bring this up. So I went last week to the press conference that was held in Sioux Falls regarding Initiative Measure 28, which is being driven pretty strongly by the South Dakota Retailers Association. And our local rep for the South Dakota Retailers is coming tomorrow to see Wynn, and I'm gonna talk with her. And all I would say, to keep out of the political weeds, but take a look at that IM 28, do your research, because it would probably it'll have negative impact on us. Let's just say that. It's gonna have negative impact.
I disagree with that, but.
You can disagree with
I
that, but
disagree
I'm
with that.
telling you.
I think there's good arguments on both sides.
So, I would say do your homework.
Yep.
Because we have to, at some point, pay for stuff. How's that sound? All right? So, I will be bringing maybe a little more information after we meet with her tomorrow regarding the South Dakota retail. Okay? Anything else?
Good.
Good enough?
Thank you, Wynn.
Thanks, Wynn.
Thank you.
City engineer report, most exciting time of the night, and we have both of them here. Michael, we'll let you start, and then we'll start with that guy behind you, 30 and 30.
30 at 30 right now.
Or what, at 30 at 30 now, yeah.
On the general engineering side, P&Z continues to discuss the park portion of the design standards. So we spoke last week, and we may look to push the design standard updates through for you guys' review and tentative approval while they continue to discuss that. That's the point. So at this point, won't know until they have their next P&Z meeting next week or at the month.
The 30th.
The 30th,
We have
yep.
a week.
Other than that, no plan reviews, no plats in the last couple of weeks. Moving on to project updates, 6th of the month, was able to contact the contractor, and they are working through that punch list and are shooting to have that done by the end of July, and we'll keep them on track and answer any questions they have. On the water rec side, as Arden you mentioned earlier, where council was able to tour the plant prior to this meeting. Hopefully we answered all your questions. Still happy to answer any that you think of after the fact or in the coming weeks. But as you saw, all of the structural concrete of the Aeromod is completed. Once concrete is set enough, they will begin to install the walkways on top of the Aeromod that the city staff will use to access valves, aerators, all of that once the plant is fully functional. Precast walls are complete, and The roof is slated to be done by the end of June on the operations building. And then we did get easements confirmed today, so we'll be working with Siteworks to get a timeline for the rest of the gravity main install.
Oh, the easement was confirmed today.
Yes. Yep.
I just asked Craig about that when we were
I
walking.
mentioned to them, they told me today.
Okay,
Yep.
I was gonna ask.
And so
So
they
I
have,
had one for you.
so still planning on that 3-week notice to refit the signs, post on the city's website, but work with Siteworks to get an updated schedule and provide it to you as soon as we can.
Awesome.
Moving on to the Highway 38 water main extension, we are working through some plan revisions. The current DNR reviewer did a complete review of the plans, and we do have to re-include that full loop. As you may recall, it was going to end at the roadway stub on along Colton Road, where the Windsor Group was going to tie on. However, due to the verbiage in the SRF loan, we do have to completely make that loop from Vandenmark to Highway 38 all the way up to 2nd and Colton Road. So we're going to update those plans and we'll get them resubmitted.
So we're not gonna be voting to let the bid tonight, or are we?
So we can do one of two things. We can either delay it by talking with Teresa, kind of like we did with the industrial park up there. What I would be looking for a motion would be approval based on the DANR approval. So I'm working with DANR, already have pretty much that rubber stamp approval, we get the plans updated back to what it is, we can get that approved.
Okay.
What that's going to do, we do have those plans on the shared drive, essentially the same thing, which we'll be doing, will save us that week timeline in between council meetings and get this out to bid. Otherwise, we'll just bring it back next council meeting for approval. Fully expect with working with Danner that we would have plans approved by the end of this week. It's just some of that timeline gap between the council meeting and when we have that.
So we're 3 weeks to the next council meeting.
Yes, yeah, so that's part of it, it would be an avenue if we wanted to go on that, just making sure we have that banner and then would be about to bid, so.
Any idea what that's gonna add to the cost?
It was,
originally.
I can follow up with I was gonna say about 200 and hopefully less than that. Part of the reason why we decided to pull it back was some of the boring up under there that we're gonna have to do. We're gonna elect to use a plastic casing versus steel casing to save some of the cost on that. And with Windsor development, able to connect onto it. Like Michael noted, there was the little verbiage in there within the original application that this water main project would create a loop. That was part of the reason why Danner gave us a loan for it, based on that verbiage on that project, what it would provide. So that's where they kind of went with the clause by it. Let's get that added back in there. So timeline for the project, we would look to get a bid now. We would have construction completion, call it in May of next year. Working with some of those private developments, making sure that they don't need the service yet this fall. They would need service by next summer, so that timeline would hit. Benefits of getting a bid here with that construction timeline, if there's availability that comes up with contractors this fall, we'd be able to get that work in there. Talking to several contractors in the area, there'll be some work going on there, as we know with our project and some of the adjacent projects. So I believe it'd be a good time to get this out to bid, get some of those, call it win-wins with the other projects, some of the efficiencies, lower mobilization costs, et cetera.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump that in the middle, but.
No, you're quite all right. That is all I have. Project updates is no update on Western Avenue as that is in UT's hands for bidding later this fall.
All right, so we got 2 action items. It looks like first is a pay request for Rice Lake, and the second one then is that bid letting. And are you okay that we go ahead and?
Yeah, I think just make the motion contingent, Dana approval.
Okay.
And that way, if in a week's time, we do give them to say, okay, we can then start putting it out to bid, rather than wait the 3 weeks before the next council meeting. Because, we gotta advertise it twice, so, I mean, you
Right.
still got a month
We
window
gotta
of
wait.
advertising, yeah.
Right.
So the sooner we get out, the better.
All right, let's deal with the first one first, would be the pay request for the wastewater treatment facility.
Make a motion to approve pay request number 9.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Jazz?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right, and then the second one is to approve letting the bids on the Highway 38 water main project contingent on DANR approving our final plan.
So moved.
Oh. I didn't really make the motion. We'll let Mark make the motion.
Motion to approve bid letting contingent on DANR approval.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Barrett? Jazz?
Yes.
All right, anything else, you guys?
I just want to thank you guys for showing up and supporting the project. It takes a team to build a project like that. The city's a big part of it, so just want to let you guys know your hard work too on making the decisions, working through everything with us. Thank you guys. It's awesome to see some of the progress going there and you guys being able to experience it and just being able to make all the decisions. So always welcome out there. If we want to make additional site visits, just let us know. We can coordinate that first site.
Yeah, I think Horn was on the first time when we first started talking about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
On that note, the completion date next summer or fall or so, something like that?
Has to be done by October
Yeah,
25th.
so our compliance is called October 2025. The plan is to get the plant operational the summer of 2025.
Okay.
That way we can get everything going. That connection manifold, we have the ability to take water, bring it to the new plant, and if we have any upsets, push it back to the lagoon. So that's gonna be a nice way where we have some time to get the plant up and operational, get everything going before we completely pull everything offline, so.
So I just, the reason why I asked, I wonder if, you know, this is a huge project, I just wonder if we could have a day where we just invite the public out there like we just did today without, obviously there's a little safety concerns here and there, but we could have people from ISG and from Islake there to kind of walk
I
everything.
think a good opportunity would be a good ribbon cutting.
Yeah, that would be good as well.
Yeah,
that would be
when we get
good.
close to operational, everything will be pretty close, we can have a good event.
Yeah, we just put that on the radar for
Yeah.
early summer or something, so.
just don't serve hot dogs.
Yeah.
That's probably not called for. Sorry. That's not. All right.
Awesome.
Great idea. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll move on to Craig's report.
A few updates, Magwater, we got that scheduled right now for Thursday. We did get the traffic counters, we pulled the stuff on them on Monday. Did you get it out on the computer? So-
Like for both weeks.
Okay. So we did 1 week, 50% of the traffic was doing 21.6 miles an hour, I believe it was. 85 percentile was doing 26 miles an hour, I think it was. I'd have to look, I didn't turn it
Yeah,
off.
it was close. That was the,
Yeah, but so that 85% means out of that group, 50 of them was doing less than 21.6. So that other 35% were anywhere between 20 miles an hour basically, and that 26 miles an hour. They could have been doing 22. So I mean, you couldn't go back and actually pull it down every single vehicle that went by there, what time they drove by and that. And I think the total count was 200. God, I got it all printed out here.
I thought it was like
170, I think it was a day, is what there was, like one truck, per day, that was doing less than 20 miles an hour. Like I said, I can pull it all up, but, we'll get it, Teresa will get it out on the site.
That's 1 week of data. We got it up there this week.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a second week and then send it out.
Then we'll
So you
have-
have a couple
have
weeks to
2 weeks,
compare.
Gotcha.
So the traffic isn't going real fast through there, I mean, it's pretty normal probably throughout the town, I mean, basically what you get through town, so.
How do we balance that? I mean, obviously it's a pretty passionate topic, right? I know we talked about at the last meeting of looking into other ways to extract data that's gonna be actually more realistic data for that environment, that development. So what's the update on, I think, Michael, we were talking about that. What did we figure out with the cost to look at that data resource that we were going after?
Yeah, based on previous,
No, but what's the cost for that, for the thing to rent out?
yeah, so based on previous quotes we've used on other projects, we'd anticipate it be between $2,500 and $3,000. We do have a request into the company with the equipment to see, and we haven't received that yet, but once I receive that, I'll get it to Teresa so she can get it to the council.
And what's that gonna give us more detail?
So they're able to, the cameras can determine traffic direction, traffic speed, pedestrian traffic crossing. It gives a more holistic representation of what's going on at the intersection, more than just the tubes with the one-way traffic that are out there currently.
So for context, at the last meeting, there was like probably 10 people from Party and Naps Landing. Yeah.
When I was putting the tubes out, Mr. Judeman was there, and he kinda asked what I was doing, that stuff, and I kinda gave him a heads up on. He said since that road's been paved, he said the traffic slowed down there. He said when his gravel was a lot faster. So I think people realize it as being a urban road now, and they're slowed down, so. But was his comment on it, so. So we'll keep gathering information, I just wanted to share with what I had for 1 week's data so far, so. But their counters is back out there. Like I said, that counter can tell you direction, speed, what type of vehicle, all that stuff on it, so.
I did
I
have,
think one thing we want to discuss, maybe a little bit more in depth, and I apologize for not being here last time, I know there's a lot of conversation, so I don't want to rehash that out, but what our goals are, like Craig noted, we do have a lot of good data on the traffic in that area based on his counters, right? We can take that data, understand what the full needs are, what we really want to accomplish in that area, right? What I don't necessarily want to do is have all this data that's saying the same thing. We have 200 cars going approximately 28 miles per hour, right? If we're hearing concerns that cars are going too fast or safety concerns, let's just try to start addressing some of this data that Craig has. We will gladly set up cameras. I don't know if it's going to tell us much different based on what Craig's got in there. So I think what we can do is we can get that data. We can look at it, probably Craig and I and Teresa as a group, understand what that data is, understand what's in that existing area is, understand what the concerns are, hearing from council plus residents, and come with a plan on, this is what we see based on an engineering traffic side and what we're hearing too, because there's going to be a lot of ancillary data that probably won't show up in the traffic study that we're trying to combat here, right? So, based on Craig's quick analysis, there's probably not much of concern on the traffic analysis side if I just look at data, right? And I don't want to get too caught up in just data analysis. Let's look at trying to get something in place to address that or put that data out there and some of the understanding and awareness of what we got going on.
And the residents did want action sooner than later because it's summer and the kids are out and about.
Yeah,
I think at one time we talked about a bike path or a walking path painted.
Crosswalk. To me, that's more the issue, is not necessarily the speed, it's the pedestrians up there.
Bus stop there too.
Some of that visibility, like with the crosswalk, put a crosswalk up, it's some of just that visual cue to slow down or at least look for pedestrians, right?
Because the crosswalk's gonna have a sign as well.
We typically don't, but we can.
we could.
We can put them up, yeah.
Do we own those signs on 38 or is that the state?
We own them,
We own them,
yeah.
Oh, really?
The flashing pedestrian?
the ones that they
We
push
got
by.
that through a grant.
Yeah, there's also, DOT sent out a notice here about 2 years ago, said if you have one that completely goes down, they're doing something different, they're not recommending these anymore, I don't know what their new thoughts were, but I haven't ever seen what, they weren't even, at that time, they weren't sure what they were gonna switch to, but.
Right.
To me, those should have a sign that says stop and flashing around them as well, just directed. I'm not saying I'm not saying we need to order a sign, I'm just, people just run through it and it's flashing, but.
I did run across Severdings at last week and asked them what their thoughts were since they own or they're developing to the west. And they actually think that there should probably be a stop sign there. So, and I don't know if their thought process from that is when 12th Street gets all the way across, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens when 12th Street gets all the way across to Western, what that's gonna do to the traffic up there. You know what I mean? That, I know that the residents up there would like us to make a decision, but it'd be nice to be able to see what's gonna happen when some of this other stuff comes into play. I don't know if we'll have that time luxury, so, all right, thanks you guys for keeping on that. Anything else, Craig?
Yep, slurry seal is scheduled for next week, I think it's 25th is what the date was. Could change, due depending on the weather. Pickleball court, I talked to the contractor, he's hoping to get in there next week, he was hoping to do it this Friday, or get started this Friday, but, with the rain that he got delayed a couple days, so next week, so he's shooting for get the concrete up in there. After that, we gotta let it cure for 28 days, and, got a hold of a guy from Janko. He will be, as soon as we get it poured, he'll put it on his radar for the 28 days and clear the surface. Meantime, we'll be putting up the fencing and stuff too, because he wants the fencing up before they surface it, just so we don't scratch the surface here.
So did you paint, pickleball lines on the basketball court?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought so.
a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, I think about 2 weeks ago. Sports complex, we did finish up today, getting our last hydrant set and put in, so all of our water's been installed up there. Sewer service and water service to the concession building's been installed. So we still got some cleanup to do yet, just to get ready, to get everything kind of leveled off up in there. We've got quite a bit of cleaned up, hauled out. We will be, I don't know, this week I'm short-handed on Friday, so we got mag water coming. So next week we'll probably, if the contractor can get in there, we'll get in there and start digging the footings for that concession building, so. Keep moving ahead with that, and that's all I've got for updates.
I know, one question, or one, I guess, point, so I got into biking on a bicycle, not like the real, like, biking, like you're riding on a motorcycle, I guess. That trail system, and I know I texted Teresa, but that trail system going out along 38 is full, there's certain sections on there, it's covered in gravel, like gravel, and then some of it's just dirt from the runoff from the rain and stuff, but it's been like that for probably, I'm gonna guess, probably at least for a month. So I would love to see, cause, and.
Yeah, he did send it to me.
And there's a lot of people using it, I would love to see, and I kinda drove on the other trails are fine, but especially if you got a lot of those driveways going up to the houses and they have gravel, that's where it collects. But I think just with the amount of use that trail gets and, you know, people running or jogging, but yeah, it'd be nice to see that. I think just take the sweeper over and keep an eye on it.
We'll run the broom down it.
All right. Anything else for Craig? All right, thank you, Craig. Keep the mosquitoes under control. Nobody mentioned mosquitoes. I'll mention mosquitoes.
It came out today, yeah.
All right, Karen.
My reports in the packet, and I don't really have anything to add. If someone has questions.
Boy, we must have a great month in June. We got $7 million in cash. I'll probably spent that already out. All right, anybody got any questions for Karen? If not, we'll move on to Teresa's report.
These guys gave you a project update, just wanna let you know for the Western Avenue, we did submit the loan application. I got an email today that should, if it has to go to supervisor's board first and then goes to the Reed board, for final approval, that should be on August 6th, so hopefully here in the beginning of August, we'll know whether we received, that funding or not. Otherwise, just a couple other updates. I had a meeting with Dakota Mainstem again today. We're still working on negotiating a contract for those studies that are gonna be needed for funding for that pipeline. So we're still in the very preliminary stages of this project, but it has to start somewhere. Also, when we were talking about intersections, if you notice, I put in my report, I did get a complaint from a gentleman about the four-way stops here on Main Street, that he's seen a couple people run the stop signs there, because it is a four-way stop signs are up there, and Jenny will tell you all day long, we see people run them all the time, so stop signs are good to put in place, but doesn't mean they're gonna obey them either. He was asking if there was anything more we could do at that point. You know, the only thing more you can do, you know, I told him, you know, I do see where we're trying out temporary bump outs, you know, at the next intersection. I said, trying to evaluate if that helps, you know, curb the traffic, you know, or make people slow down or whatnot. I said, I don't know if that's something we'd ever consider at this intersection or not. I also said, you know, he asked about the lighted stop signs. I think somebody brought that up. I don't know how relevant lighted stop signs are within town. I think those are more for out of town when you can't see them, to bring attention on a straight roadway. I mean, you see them a lot on the gravel roads or the blacktops because you're going high speeds and they want to draw your attention to it. These stop signs, you're supposed to be going 15 miles an hour, you know, on both sides of them. So, you know, you're not supposed to be traveling at high speed. So I think a lot of it is in enforcement and if people, you know, obey them or not. So I just want to put that bug in your ear. I tell them, I bring it up, so I don't know, that's something to maybe keep in mind as we continue to talk about, you know, the intersection of Second and Main with bump outs. It's something we want to do different on Second Street as well, but they do get run. We see it here all the time, so wanted to point that out to you guys to maybe think about it. Like I said, probably talk more about these. CCOG is going to codify our ordinances, and what that means is, you know, we have our municipal ordinance book that has like all our regulations. Since the last time we codified it or put it into one document, we've had over 100 amendments so far. So every time somebody asks a question on something, I gotta see, has that been amended, and go to that one. They're gonna put it all into one document again. So it'll be easier for you guys to find stuff, staff to find stuff, and the public, because we put it out on our website, they don't have to look at two different spots. So that's gonna be a good thing. It's all included with our dues. That'd be good. Things that aren't in here, I sent you out a text earlier today about the budget meeting. Unfortunately, I have a conflict on the 28th that I never looked at before we came and said it. So I was gonna see if that week, if maybe we can look at Monday or Thursday. And I think some of you chimed back in that Monday works. I forgot Thursday is Men League, so I think that takes Travis and Ryan out. So does Monday the 26th work if we change that?
Can we act on that?
No, I
tonight,
said we
or-
can't do any formal action on it, but I'll put, just so if we're all in agreement, I'll put on the next agenda, just so we got a heads up. And we got a little over a month before that meeting,
Yeah.
but does
Yeah,
Monday
should-
work?
should
That works for you? That should work for you? And Travis, Texan should work for him, so then I think you chimed in too, and that's all. Okay, I put it on the next agenda, but we'll tentatively put it on as the 26th, then we'll change it too. So, thank you guys.
And our next regular meeting is on Wednesday.
Yes, and then I put a note, remember, it's on Wednesday versus Tuesday, so it'd be Wednesday the 7th versus Tuesday.
I wonder why.
I think that has something.
Yeah,
to do with
wonder why we had.
our chamber director.
And I put out a little book to you last week as too. I don't know if you've been getting any calls about the water pressure or anybody say anything. We put a note on Facebook and the city's website. We got probably 4 or 5 calls yesterday, but not today. And there's hopefully gonna get it fixed this week, so I don't know if it's fixed, Sheriff, because we haven't got any today, so maybe hopefully.
It's not fixed as of yet. The contractor up here on the 12th and Oaks project is gonna dig up those wells tomorrow, I believe, and get those T's
So
taken
we're
and
gonna
put in
stay
there.
on the road.
So we'll stay on rural water until they get them done, which I haven't heard anything back from rural water yet. There were still, electricians are waiting for some fuses for the pumps to get them fired up. I don't know why they decided to tear it apart when they didn't have all the parts, but so I don't know when we're gonna, it could be another week, I'm not sure when it's gonna be.
We got water, but just during times of high usage, some people, and it seems like It's more or less kind of in the part T, Knapp's Landing
They're
area
always
will
lower.
get hit, yeah.
They're lower to begin with.
Me at my house, I haven't seen any change in it, but
I'm okay with that up there.
See, right now, we're getting fed off that, tower 3A or whatever it's called, over by Crooks there. that
Yeah.
tall one.
Halfway between your
Yeah,
trucks. Yeah.
and that's also feeding Crooks and Humboldt and us and local farmers and stuff around there. So
Right.
high usage, your pressure's gonna drop. So.
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure we're, in case you do get questions about it, we do know, but nothing really we can do about it, so. And lastly, something that is in my report, I got an email today, actually, from Steve Groen with the Minnehaha County Highway Department. And you guys might have remembered last year, the highway from Highway 38 up to basically Central States kind of fell apart during the summer. You know, the surfacing came off it and they had to do an emergency repair on it. So they did it since it was emergency. The county authorized it. They had a contractor in the area. And so they did that whole project and paid for that project all themselves. It was $277,000. Technically, you know, when you get up by the sports complex and where the new HADF ground, that's our road. We're on both sides of it. And they could have charged us our share of it, which would have come out to about $85,000. But they didn't because it was emergency. They didn't want to get done. They didn't want to go through our process, I guess, of getting it okayed and whatnot. So they just paid for it. Now, though, this year he sent me an email that they're going to chip seal it. So the total estimated cost for chip sealing, the whole thing, is right around $56,000. Wondering if the city would pay that whole portion, since we kind of got a break, didn't have to pay our $85,000 last year. I said I would bring it up tonight. We can't take any action, of course, because it's not on the agenda, but I would get your thoughts on it if we'd be willing to participate in paying that, since we didn't have to pay anything last year.
So
No.
is our, geez, Sean,
Is
our part of it
So,
roughly half or?
so legally, where the city is on both sides of a road, then that road is
No,
considered.
I get it, I
Yeah.
just need to know distance.
Yeah.
Is ours a third of it?
So,
Or
okay,
half of
it
it?
is. So the total distance, and I went on GIS to measure it out, because I was figuring out too, is 5,300 feet from Highway 38 all the way up to Central States. The city portion is about 1,600 feet, linear feet. Or, yeah, 16.
So we're about a third.
We're about a third, about 30%.
So we're 30% of the 56,000, or the 56,000 is our cost?
He's wondering if we would pay
Since we didn't
the
pay any of
full.
the
But that's the problem though, but they never came, I mean,
They-
when that happened.
They didn't have the time to come.
No, I understand that, Teresa.
Yeah.
But they never said, hey, we're doing this, like, no one knew what the hell was going on, remember that? No, I mean, there were barricades put up, I mean, it was quick. You
Yeah,
know, but for them to go and do that.
But they
and
haven't
then
shut down the road right away, because the cars are actually picking up the pavement with their.
What was the cost last year?
So,
Again?
it was $277,000 total cost for the pavement resurface, which they paid for totally.
Right.
Our share of that, basically 30%, would have been just over $85,000. They did not bill us for it, because they didn't come for our approval first, because it had to be taken care of right away. Technically, like I said, it's that portion, that, footage, is our street that we should have paid for. He felt they didn't have the time, because they actually called an emergency meeting with the county commissioners to get it that very next day approved, because they didn't have a scheduled meeting. And if they would have waited for our timeline, that road could have been shut down for a couple of weeks, completely. So we didn't, and, I don't know if technically they could have came in the rears and just billed us for it. They didn't though. And now they're looking at chip sealing it, and it's $56,700 is actually the estimated cost of that.
Yeah, but,
So
and if we need to vote next time or whatever, we can vote, but.
Right,
I mean,
yeah, I said
would
I
expect
can't
the
do any
county to pay
votes.
our way.
Huh?
If it was our street, we would have had to fix it.
Right. Exactly, that's just it,
So
I mean,
I
it is-
don't, and if we don't pay our way this time, next time there's a problem, what's gonna happen? And then, but then we need to figure it out, right? Like, going forward, we're not paying, they'll pay theirs.
I think they're
yeah.
definitely being very fair to us, because it is our road, and we should have had to cost share with that pavement, you know, according to law. That 1,300 feet last year, we should have paid that $85,000, and they probably could have invoiced it for us, and I don't know if we could have fought it, because it's our road.
It's probably surprising that they did not ask before they did it.
Well, the county doesn't have any money.
Right,
So
that's
then
what
we
really
pick up
is the
85
surprising
grand
part,
to- or,
that
you
they
know,
just
our
went
share
ahead and
of
did
it.
it without
Yeah,
asking.
they did, like I said, they did call an emergency meeting with the county commissioners, and just, he asked for the full amount from them, because he wanted to get it done. He had a crew in the area, they had to get it shut down, you know.
With our budget and stuff, do we have anything, cause like, they wanna get that chip sealed this year, so like, if we make a decision on, is this something that
They
we
want
can
to,
budget
they're
for?
actually planning the chip sealing for next year.
Oh, okay.
But
They're just
we're-
asking the question.
But he's
yeah,
trying to fit, yeah, he's asking the
which
question
would
now.
allow us to be able to budget.
Yes,
the
exactly,
budgeting in.
Okay.
exactly.
I would say let's get all the facts and figures, put it on
Yeah.
the next agenda, and let's discuss it before the budget meeting.
Yeah.
They're changing state law where county can give the city the road to for budget.
I don't know,
I can't remember.
yeah.
I just, there's something state law that got passed about the counties having the option to give city roads that they butt up, so I mean, if that's the way it's kind of a, it's hard to understand yet, it's really a gray one, but if it
It's
is.
going back to what.
Is it going back to
is,
get
yeah,
it cleared
'cause
up?
They're changing verbiage, yeah, 'cause it's
Yeah.
not, it's.
Oh, that they could
Very
actually
clear.
hand them over
So
to
they could
us,
just, so I mean,
that we'd have,
Technically,
It could
they
be
could
a bad
turn
neighbor,
over
they could just say,
every
right,
road to
yours.
us. Yeah.
right,
so you might wanna play good neighbor to them.
yeah.
I will say that the county, since he's been there, has been pretty good to work with us as far as cost sharings and everything, so. But yeah, I'll put it on the next agenda, I just told him though I presented to you guys, get you guys thinking about it. Like I said, we can't do any action anyway, so.
All right,
just-
everybody?
Yeah, I was thinking this for this year.
No, let's put it on.
Something we can
Right,
budget
it's something we
for.
can
Yeah.
budget
Yeah.
for though,
All
so,
right.
yes. So, okay, that's the last
I
thing.
mean, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yep, nothing on.
All right, is that it, everything?
That's
for you?
everything I have, unless you have questions.
All right. Let's move to new business. The first one is to review the invoice that was submitted to us from the Hartford Township.
Okay. I won't say it's kind of the same
Similar
situation.
situation.
A little bit similar, not quite, because we're not on both sides of the road here, so, you know, we have, and I just yesterday got the signed, maintenance agreement from the township, because they had voted on it, you know, we did that over a month ago, but yesterday I got the signed maintenance agreement where we, agreed on which roads that we share, where we're on one side and the township is on the other side, not we're on both sides, but share the maintenance of it. And, this road, and, this is the road that we're talking about that's across the interstate, the first mile road across the interstate. We've annexed in, that piece of land there in the corner, it'd be on the south side of that. We're on the north side, township's on the south side. Even with the maintenance agreement, this is one of the roads they're supposed to do, so I said, well, this is your road for maintenance. They said, well, we don't really consider this maintenance, it was repair work, they considered, because it
No.
needed to repair.
That's crazy.
I says, I can't approve any bills, and they're asking for, and the bills in there, about $1,700. I said, this will need to go to the council, because number one, it's not in budget. You didn't come to us before, which usually like the county, they come to us before they actually expense any funds. So it's not in budget, you didn't come to us before you did it. Basically, they just sent us this bill on the rear, and they think we should participate because we're on one side of the road, and they consider repair work versus maintenance work.
Is there
It's not a
repair
huge-
work verbiage in our agreement we have with them?
No, it's
It's
just
considered, we
maintenance.
just have maintenance, which covers
Which,
repair work.
which even with the agreement with them, this maintenance, this is their road to maintain. So, they want us to cost share and a portion of graveling it. They did send the total bill, which is quite a bit higher. They're having us pay like about 1/8 of it is what they figured, and it comes to that $17.57. So we've discussed it, I bring it to the city council. We do we did work through them, you know, our relationship's been kind of contentious, and we did work through them with the road maintenance agreement. I don't know if this is something we wanna consider sharing in to keep that goodwill going, or not. So,
We're just discussing this right now, right? So
yeah,
can-
and it's on the agenda, so you can take action,
Oh, okay.
yes.
So
But
they
they did
sent the
submit-
bill, they did maintenance work,
Mhm.
they sent the bill, and then they signed our maintenance agreement.
After. This
After,
work was done
right?
in
I
May.
mean, that's
Yes,
the
this
timeline
work was
we
done before we even sat down to
May.
talk about the maintenance agreement.
Which was
So we didn't
months
know
ago.
anything about this, yes.
May
Months ago.
16th they did it.
Yes. Yeah, so this is back in May before we even sat down and had our meeting about the maintenance agreement.
Craig, you've had as much conversation with anyone, what's your thoughts? I'm gonna put you on the spot, I just want to know what you think.
When they brought this up to us, it was right after the meeting was over,
Right after the meeting.
toward the end of their meeting, and I said, oh, by the way, and we're like, we didn't authorize nothing. We kinda discussed that day that we thought we should just deny it and not pay it. I'm thinking now, if we pay this, maybe since we're maintaining Second Street now, maybe we don't need to bore that. You know?
Right.
So, part of me's like,
And I think that's valid.
I think we pay this year, and then we tell them, you know what, since we helped out maintain that, now we're gonna maintain, since we have to maintain Second Street, we're gonna cut the road. Since we gotta fix it, we'll cut it and maintain it. So,
Does our agreement give us?
so I'm kind of thinking maybe playing that.
No, because, but does our maintenance agreement, and this might be a question for Tom, but I like that, I love that thing, because the cutting into the road was a significantly more cost effective, right? I mean, it was
Oh, yes, yes.
significantly, and they were absolutely, for the new people, or new people on the council, you're newer to this conversation, but they were like, no, you have to bore. I mean, that was kind of their stance.
Right.
Now, will our maintenance agreement with us maintaining Second Street, will that give us the ability to cut into that road?
I thought, Matt Anderson called me the other day to talk about mag water and stuff and that they're doing. And I was thinking maybe I should call him and ask him about that, and just say, since we are maintaining that road, I guess if it gets a hole in it, we have to fix it. And
We're gonna cut it rather than bore it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, this was prior to the agreement, it's $1,700, I don't think it's worth having a war over.
Right.
I don't think so
But
either.
if we send a check, it also, we need to clarify maintenance and
And that
I would
repairs.
say maybe,
And no way in hell do we ever pay for something we don't have an option to approve beforehand, ever, ever again.
That was in the discussion.
yeah, and we told
afterwards.
them that, I said, you know, always in the county contact, so we always agree about caution ahead of time before
Tom
project
needs to write it
versus in the
down.
rear. Yeah.
So any gravel that needs to get added on a second, we don't go to them, we just take care of it.
We do it.
Maintain it, yeah.
Correct.
But
I think
maybe-
we asked the question though about,
I was gonna
if
say,
we're gonna
maybe we
maintain
don't do
Second,
anything
then
on this.
we're not gonna bore, we're gonna cut that road. I think we just,
Yeah.
don't you think, Craig? I think we just tell them that that's our intent.
Well, I think it'd just be a good working with them. We'll consider, you know, we'll pay this invoice, I could do it, but we wanna be able to go ahead and cut into Second Street with our project.
Right.
And make sure we both agree to those terms, and then we'll pay this invoice.
Well,
That way-
and then I
and
want
then
those terms of the agreement clarified.
Yes.
That you
I think
don't,
it's a whole
that they
separate
gotta
agreement.
ask.
This has
I mean,
nothing
we
to do
gotta,
with the maintenance, but I think we should have a new agreement with that, saying, we'll pay this invoice if we can cut into Second Street.
Exactly. I think, so if we were to hypothetically make a motion, I think the motion is contingent upon them giving us almost written approval to cut into the street. I would make it contingent.
Well, I think the point of that is clarifying the terms
Yeah.
of maintenance and repairs so that
right.
that's clarified. Because that seems to be interpretation
I-
difference.
Well, I
I
think
think
they,
our agreement was pretty clear, we just, and it says, we only put in gravel or snow removal, I mean, it's very limited what, I don't think cutting into the road is part of the maintenance, that's why I said, I don't think the maintenance agreement even applies to this. That's why they're not calling it maintenance, they were calling it repair work.
I think we
And they're
need,
just going
but
on and,
I think they need to understand that if they're going to, we we would come to them and ask them before we would do the work or expect them to pay a bill. We expect the same from them.
Oh, yes, definitely, yeah.
I think that's gotta be part of the conversation. But let's clarify this deal on Second Street. This may be our way to, I think that makes it easier for us to swallow paying this 1,700 if we can save, what's that gonna save? I mean, that's gonna save us some,
$50.
So
That's
I
gonna
would say
save us
maybe
some
no action
thousands of
on this,
dollars.
and
Right.
let us go back
I
to the
agree.
township and,
Right.
and say,
You have this conversation. and then
have a
we'll-
conversation that,
Yep.
okay, we could pay this, but we'd like approval, and then have that written down, like I said. we'll
Yeah,
have
I
an
think
agreement
Teresa,
into it.
and I think having that, whether it's an email format or something, versus
Whatever.
just on the phone,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yep, so,
let's do that, and then we'll deal with their bill the next,
yep, we put on the
Next
next one,
meeting.
yep.
okay?
I mean,
Thinking, Craig.
That's a good idea.
Damn right.
That's why you wear the brown hat.
A little sweaty,
Or whatever color it is.
can't afford a new one.
Wow.
I got a nice lake one in the church.
That's
I got some rice like one too. All right, thank you, that's good discussion on that. Next up, discuss implementation of a do not knock policy. Councilman Horn, you brought this up, I'm gonna let you carry the mail here.
Yeah, I guess, a few people have said that they don't like to be bothered with peddlers and that. I was thinking that I would get more pushback with just outright saying we should ban peddlers. And I really didn't. So I guess I'm up for that, but also I kind of like this $100 per person per day fee as well.
That may be one thing, you'd probably be more selective of what peddlers come here, because if you raise the cost, you know,
Right.
I mean, you gotta pay it if you want to come here.
If we were to do a do not knock policy, I don't think we would give out personal addresses. We just give out the address, you know, no name attached or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, when houses change ownership,
They're just,
that'd be probably utilities we could run a report.
but then how do you handle apartment houses, because they don't have
I
utilities,
got
there
you.
was,
Yep.
that's the logistics of it, and we got to thinking through how exactly do we handle.
I would be in favor of raising the price as high as anybody wants to, or even banning them. Although I potentially get sales tax revenue.
Yep, no, I'm just saying, he sells them in
Probably not
town,
a
you get
lot.
sales tax and the application fee, but it's a great.
But I would not be in favor of a do not knock. I just administrative burden, city personnel time alone.
I completely agree. Yeah, and I
Not
think,
down for that part of it, but banning them, I'd be on board with.
you know, and I think, I mean, I know peddlers can be a pain in the, you know what, I get that. And I think that's up to the individual homeowner if they wanna engage in that. But at the same token, you know, the city's the one who allows it too, right? So there's both sides there, but I think that is truly up to the individual homeowner. They can either answer the door or not, or they can say, get off my property or not. And I do think the logistics of the administration of it I think would be a very time-consuming, labor-consuming, to do that. And the reality is, we've got these text message alerts that go out, we talk about that, we got 45 people signed up for that, so roughly. And so, you know, like I look at that, like, that's like I'm not even signed for that, I should be, but I'm not, you know, I gotta get my wife to sign up for it, you know, but I also don't wanna limit, like, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna
cut
ask-
you off all the time.
I was just gonna ask, did we establish if that would impact like fundraising for the high school, Girl
We talked
Scouts,
about
Boy
that.
Scouts?
We talked about that.
Oh, I thought you would.
In the ordinance that it would.
Oh,
Right, in
for
the ordinance,
fundraisers?
yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that, we first brought this up, right?
Yeah, and that's why I put copy of the ordinance, it wouldn't affect that, like any high school fundraisers, or the Girl Scouts going, they're gonna go.
Yeah, I just don't think I would, like, why spend resources if this is something we hate, let's either make it super expensive or just say no.
I would think we'd want to look at what these other cities and come up with the amount that we feel we can charge and change our ordinance to charge more.
What do we charge, I mean,
I'm
it's,
open to either one.
Right now, we charge $50 and they can be here for
For 30 days.
30 days.
They can
Yeah,
have,
but
also-
and they can have 5 on one license.
Yeah, they can
So-
have
so
5
what-
people.
what's,
Or
you
get
know,
5 people for.
what's wrong with that though? Like, you know, we, like, the way I look at that is, what's wrong with making this an accessible community for somebody to come and sell products?
Because
So,
people don't like it.
some people don't, but I also know a lot of people, I love those. I love those, I read those, you know what I'm saying, like,
Yeah, but I understand
Yeah.
that, you know,
if somebody doesn't like it, then don't answer the door.
That's not true. You know, we're in the Midwest. People answer their door, they talk to you, they're nice when they come up to the door. Nobody in the Midwest enjoys the fact of saying, get off my property.
And there's elderly.
Nobody
that-
enjoys, elderly, they get taken advantage of, exactly.
I shouldn't lie. I don't mind.
I just don't.
Just because somebody in here says it's okay saying, get off my property, doesn't mean everybody in the city is like.
Yeah, but I also thinking making it so restrictive, how's that, how are we being a pro-business community by making it so restrictive and so expensive for people selling their products?
Well, we could match with some of the other cities that do not
Absolutely.
be excessive.
Right.
And we're not talking about just books, I mean, it's everything.
Like Marion, $100 per person per day, Madison, 25 per person per day.
Yeah.
Didn't have to kick out a window cleaner last week. Very persistent.
Dakota Dunes, $250 per calendar year.
Yeah, that's, so,
I like the
okay.
idea of per person too, per sales rep.
Yeah, I do too, because it's like, oh, we can have fun.
Yeah, it's a
I
pretty
This
big
is
place
just
for
discussion
residents.
only, let's push this forward, what do you guys think, and we can sure have we could have a initial ordinance drawn up to review if we wanted to change the,
Yeah, it is an ordinance, so I would have to,
Write
draft,
down.
make change to the ordinance and bring
Right.
first and second reading to you guys, so.
Correct.
You can give me your thoughts, what you'd like to see, then we, next meeting would have a first reading of a draft ordinance.
I don't see a problem with what Madison's doing. 25 a person per day, 30-day limit, I don't see any problem with that. That's just me.
I'd like to see 100, I guess.
I think we can push it up higher, personally.
I'm
I
trying to
mean,
be
if they really
pro-business
wanna be in
like
here and
John.
get sales, they'll pay it.
Pro-business, yeah.
I mean, but if we're having a discussion and we're gonna make some type of suggestion here as a whole, isn't that in a sense making a motion and giving direction or not?
You're
In
giving
prac-
direction
in
to staff
practice
to
it is.
draft an ordinance, so I can bring the ordinance, and still gotta go through the 2 readings of it before anything passes.
Technically, we're still discussing. We're
Okay,
giving
well,
her direct-
I'm gonna make a motion,
Okay,
I'm gonna make a motion to follow Madison's ordinance of $25 per person per day.
okay, we have a second.
Well, will there be a 30-day limit or no?
With the third,
Are we 30-day limit right now?
it's a 30 day,
We are
yeah,
30 day
so.
limit right now.
With 5.
He doesn't care Madison.
Do you really need, I mean, people are gonna stay here forever if the peddlers are gonna go out next town, right? I mean,
You want to add that?
if you're gonna pay.
Yeah,
if
so
you're gonna pay
to-
$2,500 for 100 days in the summer.
Right, so I would,
I mean, you're
can
not
I
gonna
rescind
go
my
too
original
fast.
motion to, and adjust, or not rescind it, but can I?
You don't have a second
You
yet,
don't
so
have a
just.
Oh, I don't have a
just any
second,
motion.
well, I wanna clarify the 30-day limit on there, however I can do that.
Okay.
But
25 per day, per person, 30-day limit.
Okay.
Is that what you want to say, John?
that's what I wanna say.
Okay, somebody want to second that?
I will.
Okay, now we can have a discussion. Any other discussion?
This is not the ordinance, this is just direction. Like,
This
can
is-
we really?
Yes,
You're
this is
gonna-
not the, I have to
This is
draft an
just
ordinance
direction, you're
and
gonna
bring
write
first
it, we'll
reading
get a
to you.
chance to see it first and second reading.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, I would like to see it higher,
Same.
but at the same time, like, you're gonna get, like, and I don't know, we're gonna weed out the people that are poor salesmen if we make it too high. And you're just gonna have these professional guys that come in and they're showing you pictures of your neighbors and,
Exactly.
like, whatever, the high pressure. So I also don't wanna have the door, or the threshold too high, where, somebody can't come in if we're gonna allow peddlers. So I mean, I'd be happy to see $50 a day, but
I say we just get rid of them altogether. Why not?
I believe you guys all get a chance to vote. How's that sound? All right, any other discussion? Because
Being a sales guy, I'm so torn on this deal.
Three different drafts.
any other discussion? Okay, we're gonna vote. The motion is to have Teresa write an ordinance that would go $25 per day, up to 5 people for 30 days, correct?
No, I did not have a limit on people.
$25 a day
Per person.
per person.
Per day.
Okay,
For
never,
30
I said
days.
it wrong, sorry. Okay, that's what I meant to say.
So each person will have
per
to.
All right.
person per day, maximum 30 days.
They're gonna have to tell us
That's,
something.
yep, and then, and if they wanna apply for another one?
This is just to write the ordinance.
Yep,
This is not voting to put it into
Yep.
place.
In order to
This
change,
is
I
just to
have
get
to
rid of
print
that, so we can do
You
whatever.
can always renegotiate.
it. You can always change it first.
All right, so we're gonna vote. Jens,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes?
Horn,
Yes.
Bowen,
Yes.
Mattson.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the direction.
All right.
Okay.
I will have first reading and.
I thought somebody was gonna say no.
We can fight about it next time.
Oh, yeah, you guys, this fight is not done. I have a feeling.
Don't put a fork in it yet.
All right. All right, next up, we're gonna talk about our annual review of our city's assessment policy for what we charge citizens when we do streets. Streets, sewer, water, curb and gutter, sidewalks, correct?
So the city has adopted a general assessment policy, and we've had it in place for many, many years, 40 years. We've started to just review this annually to see if the amount that we have specified to what we would charge an adjoining property owner if we would do a street improvement, if that's still what we wanna charge, and, or, you know, what we would charge them for sewer or water if we do a sewer or water project. So this is our, and then it tells us how to calculate it, and it tells them when the payment is due to the city, which is right now. Once we do a project, if we're gonna assess it, they get basically 1 full year to pay that assessment cost to the city without any interest or penalties. And then whatever is not paid, then that balance gets turned into the county, and they can go, like if it's a street, on a 10-year repayment plan. So, basically, our current policy, which we adopted last year, our street assessment, which includes basically street plus sidewalks, and that amount is $225 a linear foot. And that was raised $25 from the previous year. It was at $200 the previous year. Last year, we raised it to $225. And that was the estimated cost of a linear foot of a street. Now, this year, like I said, we're just reviewing to see if that's the cost we wanna stay at or not, or change it. I had Michael do a cost estimate of what a linear foot would be this year. And this year, we're like almost $390, which is a huge jump. Now, whether you wanna incorporate that into the assessment policy or not, that's up to the council. The council always has the decision, you can decide whether to assess a project or not assess a project. That's something you guys decide. If we assess it though, we would follow this assessment policy.
We raised it $25 last year.
We raised it $25 last year from $200 to $225. I think going from $225 to $390 is, I know it's gonna cost the city more on our end, but that's a big jump in a cost, I think, to property owners.
I should have had you look back, but I bet since the first year I was on here 8 years ago, we were maybe, I wonder if we were under 100.
When I started with the city.
So that's how fast this thing jumped.
49.50.
We were
I
at
think we were under
49.50
100 when I
we
first
started
got
our
on.
assessment policies, and, but, way back when, you could do a street a lot cheaper. Look at
Right.
how much costs are now, so like I said, actual cost of $390.
I'm wondering if we were like 45 or 55 bucks, or, I think we were less than 100.
$49.50.
And then it went up to like 80 or something.
Then went to 85.
Yes, then we started
Then
jumping.
Yeah, then
Then
we
it was
started.
like
going up.
115. I remember that was a big deal when we went
Yeah.
to 115.
Yeah, so we periodically, made jumps to try to keep up with kind of the rising
Well,
costs. but-
I think that's why you have to look at it every year. because
Exactly,
if
that's
you
why we're reviewing every year. We can't wait 10 years because there's a big change in.
Right.
And you're gonna try to raise it $100 a linear foot or something, I
Right.
mean.
And we typically try to do this before we get to budget time, right? So we can,
Well, we review it now, because usually if you do a project, you would do it over summer, and usually it'd be in the fall. October is when you gotta, if you have a project going on, you have to send it to the county, so
Right.
you wanna have your numbers in place, probably, right now. That's why we're looking at this time of year versus the end of year, the beginning of the year.
all right, any action from the council?
Make a motion to increase the, amount of assessment to, $250 for streets.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
No.
Horn?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes.
Jazz?
Yes.
All right,
Okay, so this is a resolution, so I will update the resolution, you will review the resolution at the next meeting, so you have another vote then as well.
okay.
Okay.
Last up, we have a property tax abatement. It's in your packet. For parcel number 59670, marked approved by staff.
When properties get sold, does that automatically reset then, or transferred ownership?
Yeah, because it goes by, you have to apply as a property owner, and then you have to meet those qualifications. So if a new property gets sold, and there's a new property owner, if I'm a disabled veteran, I don't get that tax abatement,
Okay, so they have to reapply?
Yep, yep.
They have to reapply. Is this a yearly thing though?
No.
Oh, it's not?
No, it'll stay with the
Once it
existing
stays
owner,
with
but
that
if they,
person, then-
if that owner would go to some other property, then you
Then
have
you'd
to
have to
apply for that
reapply.
property, yeah.
Is there with these, cause they have to get approved by the county, right,
Correct.
before they come here?
Yeah.
Does the city have to cover that cost for that property or not? Or like, it's just like,
We just lose money.
We just don't get our tax, yeah.
we just don't, okay, so it's not like we're
Yeah.
covering that, like writing a check?
Yeah, and it's not like we don't get any tax, we just don't get the tax increases each year, It
Okay.
gets frozen at, basically, of when they purchase a property and when they've applied for it's frozen at that now, so if they're in there for 10 years, the next 10 years, usually property assessments, we won't get those increases.
18% a year.
Or that, yeah. We won't.
All right, action by the council.
Motion to approve tax abatement for parcel 59670.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Jazz?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right, we got anything for exec?
I got personnel.
Yes. Okay, motion to
Motion to go to executive session with personnel.
Second.
go. All in favor?
Aye.
See you tomorrow, Win. All right.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.